Hey everybody, Tom Barnes Stories from the 78 from downtown Chicago at L7 Hotels by Lot. You're looking at Perilla right off of Wabash, and Perilla is one of the spots you can check out that is a recommendation by the artist David Hoe, who has a special suite, an art suite, right in the hotel. You get drinks, you get tickets to go to the art museum and his recommendations. It's a really cool thing that we're gonna check out now for this story from the 78. Check out that view of the old corncob buildings in Marina City. The view outside L7 Chicago is that of the river, and you got this beautiful artwork inside this new space with my friend David Hoe. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. This is your creation, this space here that is part about blending Korean culture to Chicago culture in a way. Can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So if you look around the room, like you're greeted by this red entryway. So a lot of this is a marriage of Eastern beliefs and then Chicago identities. So red in Asian culture, if you know like feng shui, it's like you're not supposed to paint any walls in your living place with red, but if you do it at the entryway, it like keeps all the energy in and out. So that's like the belief. So it's like a little nod to that. My mom used to say stuff like this. And then all the yellow, blue, and green, like it's inspired from a Korean temple painting style. It's called tancheong. So it's green, red, blue, black, white, yellow. Like there's a whole, like they assign meaning and spirituality to it. And then being born and raised in the US, it was interesting to combine like a lot of my interests of like what I like about being American and what I like about being Korean, and then putting it together with the L7 Chicago, because this hotel, it's a Korean hotel franchise, and then the fact that they have a Chicago location is pretty cool. So thinking a lot about that. I wanted to combine like how we understand as Americans like what primary colors are, and then a little nod to Korean culture of like paying homage to that temple painting. And then if you look at this painting over here, I think it's serendipitous because this was at the Korean Cultural Center of Chicago in a show.
Oh, wow.
And then part of this room's package is that when you rent it, 7% of the proceeds go to that cultural center. So I feel like it's a full circle to have this painting be in a space that's both Korean and honoring Chicago's identity, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of everything in here, including
in that
this
piece,
wonderful piece here, is yours. So explain a little bit about this piece, because I just found this fascinating.
Yeah, for sure.
The textures unique.
So my process is mostly collage. So I'll paint on paper, cut it out, glue it together, and just, it's like analog Photoshop, give or take. So it's like really nice to play with my brain. But I use a lot of dogs in my work. It took me a long time to understand what they meant, but like in Korean stories, like tigers can talk, rabbits can talk. So I was always taught that like animals had sentience. So thinking a lot about that, I wanted to tell a story of like, what is it like to have like anxiety chase? So if you look at the very left side, there's a rabbit with its foot bleeding. It's very, very subtle.
Yeah, okay.
But then there's dogs chasing a ball. So it's like this moment of like play, anxiety, and then the orientation is like supposed to pay homage to like a traditional fan painting.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. But
It's beautiful.
thank you. Yeah. So to juxtapose that kind of work with this kind of beautiful, vibrant space was important. Plus, I wanted these dogs going this way, this tiger looking this way, because it goes into that next room.
Well, speaking of, let's do a little walk here. But this is a suite that is specific to your art and to your palette and to everything here at this wonderful space.
Yeah.
But more of the, like you said, it invites you into this space. Even so much that you have something on the wall here that is your free handiwork, right?
Yeah. So like my sketching process is very like opposite of most artists. Like I will do like a sketch, but I don't need to capture the composition. So I knew the room layout. And then from there, I just dumped my brain of like, okay, these are the topics that I'm really interested in. How do I like kind of get them all connected so this room is just very cohesive? So outside of just painting, there's a lot of elements in the room that's like a package deal. So like when you rent this room, you'll get 2 tickets to the Art Institute, which I think is great because it's one of my favorite spaces in Chicago. So to allow tourists to go check it out for free, it's great. And then I made like a little map for people who went there of like my route and my inspirations. So that's like all included in this thing. And like the thing that I was mentioning about tancheong, like I broke down the explanation and like this Venn diagram of like formalism of like primary colors and then spirituality. And I was like, oh yeah, that's probably where I'm gonna make this L7 thing. And then, yeah, and then from there, like, this painting is called R.I.P. to my youth. And it's just like little, I feel like this room in itself, I tried my best to almost make like a diary, like an entry of my life.
And so much that you even have some writing on the wall, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny when I was working on it, my brain was like, oh, is this corny? And I'm like, no. So like it says a dream you dream alone is only a dream, and then a dream you dream together is a reality. Because I feel like in my fantasy scenario when I made this room, I would like if 2 people went to bed. So it's like almost like an affirmation that they can believe before they go to sleep. And then from there.
I love that.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. So like, I don't know, like I'm a big believer of teamwork and friendship, as lame as that sounds, because you can't get far by yourself. So thinking a lot about that, I was like, all right, how do I like just create this room to just like have little stories about what I am interested in as a person and then what influences me as an artist, and just combining all that together. So for instance, like when you lay on this bed and you like wake up first thing, like if you see the blue, that would be really cool. But then also if you just look around and like your brain will be confused for a second to be like, where am I? You know,
right?
So
especially in like January, in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Or even February.
Yeah.
But here you are, like these beautiful colors.
Plus,
You know,
like, yeah, there's like
the view.
I know. I'm really excited during St. Patrick's Day though, because the river will be green, and
absolutely.
it'll just look like a not real space, right? Like a green room with a green river and a beautiful architecture. So.
It's this beautiful space, and we're here in room
1111.
1111. And going back to what you were talking about with your recommendations for the art, you also have other recommendations as well, right? You have things for people to eat and to drink and all that stuff.
Hang out,
But that's like, how do people find that when they're in here?
Yeah, so when you rent this room, you'll get a postcard and a token. The postcard has a QR code that you'll scan, and it goes to a website with a password. And it's not supposed to be like exclusive or special, but I wanted to give that level of consideration. So when you click on that and unlock it, I've listed 10 of my favorite restaurants, 10 of my favorite bars, and then 10 of my favorite places to go check out.
All over the city, not just downtown. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's kind of one of your big passions, is to get people out of the where's the deep dish type of vibe, right? Like, 'cause Chicago's so much more than pizza.
And it's like no shit to anyone visiting Chicago and wanting to stay downtown, but I'm like, please don't trap yourself here. Like,
right, there's so much more.
Take the train once, right? Like, don't Uber everywhere. Like, CTA is great. It's also very clean compared to New York's. And so like, a lot of my recommendations are spread out all over, because I think the neighborhoods that I picked are also really exciting neighborhoods to just like walk around in. And so like one place on that list for sure is like the California Clipper. Like I think that's a great place to go with a date.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like a beautiful bar, and it's
all
like
red.
Yeah,
it's sexy.
Yeah, it's sexy.
The red chairs and everything.
It's like softly lit and stuff like that. And
great
then,
music. A lot of the times when you're there, it's a wonderful place.
And then thinking a lot about that. And then the token downstairs is a Korean restaurant. It's a Korean American idea, and so when you get that token, the mixologist made a drink called Winter in Paradise, and then you can get that in exchange for the token. So the idea is that I wanted someone to be able to stay in this room, go explore the hotel a bit, go get that cocktail, bring it back up here, hopefully sip it, enjoy the view, check out the list, look at some places, and then make a day of it, right? So if you're visiting Chicago, like for the weekend, like I've planned out 30 things for you to do. So it's like kind of like combine the food with the drink with the place to visit, like 3 times a day, you got a whole experience of Chicago. So thinking a lot about, if I created this room based on my art, can I create programming that extends to me as a person too, right? Like not just as an artist. And I think a lot of people, when they have never been to a city, the first thing they'll do is Google like top 10 things to do in city, right? So I'm like, okay, let me save the labor, and then instead of going to like the fancy places, like why not check some places that I think are very memorable, like places that I would like these people who come to visit to create new memories when they're here, rather than be like, yeah, Chicago is really clean, the architecture is really nice, and like the food is okay, and like that's as far as it goes, you know?
Right. And Chicago has some of the best food in the world.
For sure.
That's why the James Beards are here, right?
For sure.
I mean, our food scene is well beyond pizza and beef sandwiches.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God.
And hot dogs.
And Italian beef. I'm like, come on, there's a lot more, you know?
But you were from Georgia, you moved to Chicago, you fell in love with the city so much that this is your mission to really you know, develop the Korean culture here in Chicago, because it kind of got lost over the years throughout different neighborhoods. We were talking before we got started here, how they just kind of get pushed out one way or another way. But that's what you really, that's a mission of yours, that you, and it comes through in your artwork. And, where can people go see your art outside of this space?
Oh man, there's a lot. Let's see, there's a restaurant near the West Loop called PERILLA Fair. I think that's a great place to start, because when you walk in, I had the luxury to be able to paint the whole space like I did here. So that whole mission too was like, can I create a space that can be a good memory for a first date, right? And on top of that, let's see, I don't have, you know what, no, I have a work up. There's a new gallery that opened up in Albany Park. I have a small piece in it right now. The gallery is called Joy Machine. And then aside from that, let's see, yeah, I've done a lot of installations. There used to be one at the House of Vans in the West Loop, but yeah, I mean, for me, the mission about the Koreatown thing, like, me being Korean is really important. Like, unfortunately, growing up in Georgia, like, I was raised to be kind of ashamed of my heritage, because it's not that I wanted to be white or anything, it's that I wanted the privileges of what it's like to be white. So when I moved here, I was able to make like a whole group of more multi-diversity, you know? But then one thing that was kind of sad is I realized that there's not like a Koreatown like there is LA and New York. So when I was like 20, 21, 22, like I accepted it, but I'm now 32. And so like thinking a lot about that, I'm like, if I'm gonna commit to staying here, how can I create new spaces that I feel like could and should exist? So for instance, like downstairs, the Korean American restaurant Perilla, like he's a friend of mine. So it's like nice to know like, oh, we both share the same dream, like, but how do we make it a reality, you know? So thinking a lot about, can I make a Koreatown as a Chicagoan in my lifetime is a pretty nice goal to achieve, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think.
And you blending, or you're getting people together, because a lot of that neighborhoods start up because of art and culture and everything else. And you have a program where you meet up with other Chicago artists. Well, you talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. It's called Minhwa, which translates from Korean painting of the people. It has a very unique history. It's basically like some broke artists like making art that imitated like high art, right? And it was like all these carnivals and all this stuff, but when you think about traditional Asian painting, that's like what it looks like, right? Like tigers and rabbits and like landscapes, and you know, so thinking a lot about that phrase, painting of the people, I reached out to my friends who are also Asian American, and we're all children of immigrants too. So thinking like, what do we do with like our dual heritage of being raised Americans, but also raised from like our parents' country, you know? So I created Meanwhile with my friends, thinking a lot about like, how do I make a social space that's accessible and fun for Chicagoans? Something that I feel like the art world could really use. Like, I love art. It's a really intellectual thing, but we don't have to keep intellectualizing it. You know, like we can make it accessible.
Right.
Yeah. So Meanwhile started as like ideally just a short project, right? We have 4 chapters, 4 episodes. Each episode we feature like creatives in Chicago. So the one that's coming up soon, our guests are the chefs from Kasama, a jewelry maker, and a florist. So like they're very different.
Wow, very cool.
Very different from art, like fine art. But we're gonna have a live episode, and it's pretty fun. It's 2 hours. 45 minutes is like, I'm the host, I'm the moderator, and I will ask them questions that I feel like could be interesting to people who don't know those industries. Take a short intermission, and then the second half is usually like drinking games, or like this time it'll be like tarot readings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's basically just humanizing these artists, right? Like, I think a lot of people, when they like something, like Kasama's a great restaurant, first Michelin star Filipino restaurant, what an amazing legacy. But then to be gatekept from that idea, I don't think there's this idea that like, oh, these are just people that like pursued their dreams and worked really hard and like created this experience for the people of Chicago. Like, they could easily close up shop and move to New York, right? Like they could, but I think they're fully committed to making the city better in the same way that I am. So thinking a lot about those kind of creatives, how can I feature them? And then also share them amongst other people in Chicago. So that's like what kind of started Meanwhile. So as we're doing episode 2 soon, the next one would be 3 and 4, and that's the end. But I wanted to create a space with my friends that was like, I'd like to just socialize without having to go to a bar and then be like, oh shit, like that's a 21-year-old, I'm old. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it happens. And I'm not ageist that way.
Wait till you get 40.
Yeah, I know. So I was just thinking a lot about like, can I create a space that like reminds us that we can age with grace and happiness, but then also feel connected to like, oh, like my friend group isn't X, Y, and Z, right? Like, I think the thing that makes me the most sad is when I meet new people and they say, I wish I had more creative friends. And I'm like, okay, how is that possible then? Like, how can I create those opportunities for these people to feel like whatever passions they had lost, they can like rediscover through these kind of events, right? These social gatherings. And I'm not gonna call it a social club because that's pretentious. It's just like, it's just an event, a pop-up event.
Yeah.
Every quarter, you know? Yeah.
And I imagine you have a social media presence somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, we just started it. The handle is Minhua, but I was too slow, so the name Minhua got snatched up. So it's MNNHWA. But yeah, I think that's like, we're all grassroots too. Like, we're not rich people. We're not Nepo babies. We're just extremely hardworking, skilled creatives. Like, I lucked out, and my whole team with it, we're all self-employed artists, right? But they all work in film production. So this production level is very high end. So I'm really excited and blessed to know like the sentiments that we all share. How do we put 110% effort into it? And it's not just like something that's like a pipe dream or like, oh, I wish or I could, or, you know, it's like, can we transform that idea and make it like an I do and I will kind of mentality, you know? So.
Very cool. And here we are at the L7 Chicago, where you can immerse yourself into your mind of Chicago and Korean culture mixed together. Is there any, you have an online, anything for you, social media wise, for your artwork?
Yeah, I mean, I have websites, davidhaw.com, and then yes, I have Instagram, it's Dave Haw. But yeah, I think for the most part, I like the idea of like social media is more of like a bulletin board, right? Like it's less about sharing my life and more about like the things that I do. So yeah, if people are interested in checking it out, you can start there.
Awesome. David, thank you so much for taking time to chat with me and really explain a little bit of your process. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
No, thank you.
Absolutely.